Well, last week, TGL debuted at the SoFi Center in South Florida when the New York Golf Club took on the Bay Golf Club. The Bay, of course, went on to win that opening session. It was Shane Lowry, Ludwig Oberg, Wyndham Clark representing the San Francisco team. They had an easy 9-2 victory. But tonight, one of TGL's founders, Tiger Woods, makes his first appearance alongside his Jupiter Links Golf Club. 3 of the 4 team members playing, Woods alongside Kevin Kisner and Max Homa. And Homa playing against his actual hometown of LA. Justin Rose, Colin Morikawa and Sahith Theegala taking the field for LA tonight. Josh Carpenter joins us now. Josh is the assistant managing editor at Sports Business Journal covering this game. And Josh, the TGL drew pretty impressive viewership in its first week. It's reasonable to assume Tiger is going to draw more eyeballs this week. Is there a time frame in mind where we do get a real sense of what the lasting audience traction for this product is? Is it a matter of weeks? Is it a full season in your mind?
Yeah, Eamon and Damon, it's good to see you. It's good to join you. I think we probably have to wait to the end of the season to see what the audience looks like. I know their audience for week 1 certainly outdrew, I think, their expectations, and certainly you have to expect you'll see a gain on that tonight with Tiger playing. But if you look at their schedule throughout the rest of the season, they've got a mix of time slots. I mean, they've got matches tonight's at 7 o'clock, for example. You've got more matches at 9 o'clock. You've got they've got a triple header on President's Day, I think at 1 and 4 and 7 o'clock. They've got some matches later on in the season at 3 o'clock. So, and those matches will air on ESPN2, which has a lesser distribution than ESPN. So you're going to see certainly some smaller numbers than what you saw last week, what you see tonight, what you're probably going to see when Tiger's team and Rory's team play each other here in a couple weeks. So I think you'll need to wait until the end of the season to really look at that season-long average, what they did. Is TGL happy? Is ESPN happy? To figure out kind of what the lasting audience will be, Eamon.
Well, Josh, a lot of us wondered how week 1, would kind of come off. Would there be technical glitches? How would it play being in person? You were there. What was your biggest takeaway from week number 1?
My biggest takeaway, Damon, is first of all, and Mike McCarley, the founder of Tomorrow Sports Group, which is the parent company of TGL, he'll tell you this is a TV product first. Mike is a TV guy. He was the president of the network that we're speaking on right now for a long time. This is a TV product first. And so I still have yet to see it on TV. I was there in person, like you mentioned last week. So I'm going to reserve judgment until I watch it on TV. Being in the venue, I think certainly it was week 1, right? So they had some hiccups. They've got some room to improve. One of the big selling points of TGL in the lead up to launch is that you would be able to hear player comments. They'd be mic'd up. You'd be able to hear the trash talk, strategy, all that. If you were in venue last week as a fan, you could not hear any of that unless you were so close to the playing field that you could hear it. There was no type of way to hear what was being said, in between shots while they were over shots. The TGL, some officials with the league did say that eventually they plan on kind of providing fans with some earpieces so that they can listen in, similar to what you'd have at an Open Championship, at a U.S. Open. That was probably my biggest takeaway. I thought it was a good experience, but I felt a little bit disconnected and like I needed to sort of catch up. If you go to the Masters where you can't have a cell phone, you have no connectivity down there. When you get back to the media center, you get back to your home, you feel like you need to catch up a little bit on what happened. And I felt that way a little bit after I was done watching the in-venue, the gameplay last week.
On that subject.
But overall, I will say, the technology is very impressive. It's something new, right? It's very new to the game of golf, a new spin on things. So from that aspect, it was really something to behold and be there and see in person.
On that subject, Josh, of trying to find connectivity with an audience, there's a clear attempt here to try to drive a geographic loyalty in the same way that the old World Team Tennis used to do years ago by basing them in cities. But the LA team doesn't play in LA, and the same with New York and Boston and Atlanta. Only tonight's team, Jupiter, actually has home games. Do you think that it would need some kind of green grass component or expansion to those cities to actually develop any kind of regional loyalty on the basis that they're after?
I think it could certainly help. Eamon, I won't say that I would necessarily see a venue being placed in a city to draw fans to a certain team. I think if you look at expansion for TGL, it might be more in a sense of making it a little bit easier for players to participate. Let's say Las Vegas is a city that's been tossed out as a potential, host site for another TGL venue. It'd be a lot easier for a PGA Tour player to fly from Kapalua to Las Vegas for a TGL event and then to the California desert for a PGA Tour event than it is to fly from Kapalua to, South Florida, then back to California. And the TGL, they do have an airline deal that'll, charters those players from that. But still, just thinking about time, I think, we've heard, possible venues in Las Vegas. You think about Scottsdale as a hotbed. I think the West Coast would make sense because the early portion of the PGA Tour schedule when these matches are being played is, where is it played? It's primarily on the West Coast. So I think that would make more sense than putting a venue, say, in New York where they have a team or Boston where they have a team. A lot of the TGL officials would tell you, well, the New York Yankees, yes, they're based in New York, but how many players on the Yankees are actually from New York? And so, yes, they want to build those team and those city identities, but they don't necessarily think it's based in having a team located in those cities and areas.
Josh, what about expanding beyond golfers? Any of your discussions with Mike include, bringing in some of those investors, a Steph Curry hitting some shots, Serena Williams, or kind of reaching out to the celebrity world to try to grow the tent that way?
Yeah, I mean, Mike didn't mention anything specifically. Now, he has talked about since Tomorrow Sports was launched that TGL was simply just the first project of many within Tomorrow. So I think they want to nail that first. He would tell you that. He said he spends maybe 5 to 10% of his time on kind of other projects outside of TGL. They want to make sure they get that first year right. But yeah, Damon, it's really easy to imagine getting a celebrity component in there, playing in the 9 months where this venue isn't used for competition, right? Because TGL season ends late March, I believe, before the Masters. And so you've really got a full 9 months there to experiment, to maybe bring in celebrities, to try out, who knows, other sports. I know Mike wants to really, with these other projects he's working on, he wants to put that kind of innovative spin on it, right? We all know a football game's 3.5 to 4 hours. We all know a round of golf is 4.5 hours. But in TGL, a round of golf is 2 hours, right? So how do you truncate that, make it, add in the technology aspect, bring in some celebrities maybe, and that sort of thing to just put a new spin on some of these sports and things like that.
Just want to shift topics a little bit, Josh. Earlier this week, you wrote about the prospects of Liv Golf potentially getting closer to a deal with Fox Sports. Given that it's the 5th event of the Liv season before, all the way into April, before they actually show up, I suppose, within the US time zones anywhere, how impactful do you think that could be to Liv if most of their events, a majority of the entire season actually, has been played in the overnight hours in the United States?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Eamon. I think certainly, I don't know the exact details of their deal with Fox, which we've reported on. I think it's probably going to come down in the next week or so. I would imagine they'll probably air those on tape delay when they're in, Riyadh to start the season in Australia, probably on tape delay, whether it's on Fox or on Fox Sports 1. But I think even if it's on tape delay, Eamon, just the idea of them being on Fox compared to the CW is a big step up. But I'll also say that the caveat to that is that I think they really have to deliver. There are no excuses anymore about, well, viewership was lower because we were on the CW. They'll be on Big Fox now. Not for every event, but if they're on Big Fox, to me, there aren't really excuses. You've got big names like we've talked about. You've got the John Rahms, the Koepkas, the DeChambos of the world. You've got, a different format than what you see week to week on the PGA Tour. And you're on a big network. So I think they have to deliver. They've got a new CEO coming on board this year in Scott O'Neill. They really have to deliver on TV with their commercial partners to make some inroads. Not that they haven't made inroads; they've certainly made inroads. But I think to put to bed some of the questions about the long-term viability of Liv, I think they have to deliver on some of those big initiatives.
So much happening in professional golf. Josh, you've brought a lot of insight to many topics. Thanks for joining us today.
Hey, great seeing you guys. Look forward to doing it again soon.